Alright guys, so exactly 11 days since the first beta patch was released for Manor Lords, the lead developer Greg has released another beta patch. Now these are experimental, these are not official updates to the game. You basically opt into the latest version of these beta patches to experiment with new features, bug fixes, and essentially to test. You know, this is all from a testing perspective, trying to see how these balance changes are working, whether the bug fixes are as intended, and how the various updates to various mechanics and visual fixes, etc., are having an impact on your gameplay. So as with the first beta patch, this is all not save game compatible. You're going to have to opt in via the properties betas tab, enter the password here, choose the pre-release, and then wait for the game files to update, and then launch the game to have access to all these new lovely little features. And there are some very good fixes, guys. So in this video, just like in the first beta patch, we're going to go through all of these patch notes to understand what are the changes and what is going to have the biggest impact on your gameplay. So starting from the top here, what's inside this patch? This time, Greg focused mostly on balancing and bug fixes. Most notably, you can now hire 6 militia squads even if you already have retinue and mercenaries employed, which is quite cool. Just makes your army a little more varied versus what was previously there. Sheep breeding development branch was capped and no longer spawns sheep exponentially, which is probably a good thing. I mean, that was definitely exploitable in terms of if you were doing sheep farms and you were exploiting the trade mechanic there as well. It was just very easy to start making lots of money. A lot of work was done around fields, harvests, and fertility. So overlays and crop prediction should now be far more accurate, and the ox and worker behavior should be more optimized. So hopefully harvesting is more timely, it's harvesting the most possible, and the workers with the ox together are harvesting all of it very efficiently, right? Because before, a lot of it was being lost. Seasonal effects were having a bad damaging impact on your farms as well. So these changes are really, really nice, what I'm reading here in terms of farming as well. Barter and trading got a lot of fixes, with on-foot traders now being able to carry 5 items per trip, which is good. Trading was quite slow. I think a lot of people were having issues, including myself, getting products into your trade network, but not actually selling them quickly enough to make enough money. So hopefully with traders carrying more items per trip, you should be making more money from that as well. Toned down the King's Tax and exponential trade route costs introduced in 960. Dude, these changes are absolutely amazing. This is exactly what people were talking about. Lots of trading issues, King's Tax being massively overpowered in terms of you being able to pay it and really not being able to pay it. And the farming issues as well, harvesting not being timely enough. These are really, really good changes here. Fix the Loserville mercenary bug. That was a really funny one. Glad to see that's been fixed. And improve the marketplace distribution. And there's a really cool way about how that's been done right here. So what he's done is allowed a market stall setup button. So you can click to enable that for a certain, if you're at a sawmill and, you've got 3 families there and you don't want them to have a stall set up, then you can absolutely turn that off and they won't be at a stall. They'll actually be at the sawmill working. So that's a really, really nice solution to a lot of issues that people are experiencing. Families not actually working where they're supposed to be, but setting up stalls, which was quite annoying. So that's a really, really nice change there. And then, yeah, there's another thing here as well. So a construction reserve for buildings using planks has been set, especially the joiner's shop, which is also good because I felt like joiners, just as a lot of people were feeling, were running out of planks quite quickly. So that's a really nice one, a nice change here as well. All right, now we're getting into the real chunky bit of this patch note. Some really interesting changes here. So under gameplay and balance, we've got capped sheep breeding to 1 new lamb every 10 days max, which is interesting. I mean, it definitely slows down the sheep economy quite a bit. I don't know if it slows it down enough, though, to be honest. Importing sheep is quite easy. Having 1 new lamb every 10 days means 36 a year. That's still quite a lot, so I would want to see it reduced a little bit more. Villagers are now only allowed to fetch water from the well that is nearest to their home, except in the case of fire. So this just makes it more necessary to have more wells in your town to cover as many houses as possible, and get those upgraded plots. So that's a cool little interesting cosmetic, really, at the end of the day, change to your town building. Yields will now never increase past 100% growth. This is farming yield because it was unintuitive to players. This is a nice change. It's a very quality of life. I never wanted to see past 100% growth in your plot of land, your farming land. It just didn't make sense to have that go really, really high, 600-700%, and then come all the way down for harvest season. And I don't think it added anything to the game. So it's nice to see that be capped at 100%. Even when fertility reaches 0%, there should still be a tiny little bit of yield possible now, which is cool. You know, you never know. Seasonal effects, weather effects can all affect your harvest season. So even if it reaches 0, you're not in a bad place, essentially. Amped up max yield per plant from 2 to 4, which is quite OP when you think about it, basically getting double the amount of yield at the end of the season. But this has been balanced out with plant yield rate now reduced by half. So 100% growth, but your yield rate throughout that time is going to be reduced by half. So the potential max is 4, but most of the time you're going to get half the yield at the end of your season, which is just makes it more complex, essentially. And there's a nice little tie-in to another big change here that we're going to get to in a second. But before then, so Militia Squad, we've gone through that before. Doubled the fertility regeneration rate effect on fallow fields and from fertilization, which is fair enough as well. I think this is a good change as well. I mean, fields getting more fertilized. It was taking a little bit too long for these fields to get into a better place. So I really like that change there. And this is the one I'm talking about. So slowed all plant growth down by 30% as well. So even if your 100% growth is now capped, and even if your plant yield is going from 2 to 4 max, the actual season is getting slowed down as well. So you could do all of the planning you want. At the end of the day, the growth rate is gonna go down by 30%, which is quite a big change. The farming economy is getting a bit of a nerf with this patch, guys. The reason for slower field crops is to make winter crop make sense. The reason for slower veggie crops is because it was too powerful compared to farming. So it's nerfing all plant growth, not just farming growth, but carrot growth and apple orchards as well. So really big nerf to farming there. Slow down the tree growth rate by 30% as well. So as I was saying, tree growth affects not just apple orchards, but just general forestry growth as well, which is quite cool. And then we're starting to go into more other little details here. So increase the archer range again. So archers are bumped up a little bit more. I think a lot of people were saying the last patch didn't do enough. So that's a nice change there. Cost of opening new trade routes was brought back to linear scaling. I think a lot of people were having issues, including myself, with new trade route costs. But I don't actually think going back to linear scaling is the answer. I think somewhere in the middle is what we want, really. Costs should be higher, but they shouldn't be as high as the last patch, essentially. Bumped up the carrying capacity of on-foot trading post workers from 1 to 5. So this should make a huge difference to the trading economy. You're going to be able to sell a lot more at any given time to a trader, which means much more money. And that actually ties in hand really nicely with royal tax is now calculated as follows. No tax for the first 5 years, 1 treasury per citizen after 5 years, 2 treasury per citizen after 10, and 3 after 15. So, okay, on foot trade workers are going to be carrying more, which means more money for you, but a lot of that tax money is going to be going into royal tax after 5 years quite quickly. So lots of interesting balancing changes from these perspectives as well. And then finally, granary and storehouse worker slots adjusted, unified it to 3 families for level 1 and 6 families for level 2, which I like quite a bit as well. This just makes these buildings a lot more efficient and usable. Next, we've got minor changes, which are quite minor. They're not going to have that big of an impact unless, very specifically you're going through these issues. So there's stuff like made fertility, overlay colors, and colorblind symbols more accurate. You've got crop yield prediction more accurate, which, should be more accurate anyway with the other changes that are more major above. You've got missing tooltips that have been added. You've got the trade rule that you can set now with advanced trades, which are quite cool, but with more advanced trades is just better essentially than it was before. Rework the construction reserve system, so lots of buildings now have reserves for different good types. Optimized various inventory array functions, added the ability to disallow setting up stalls on the marketplace. We've just gone through that, which is this bit up here. And then what else here? Tuned the current region is calculated for the UI. Yep. Iron deposits and clay deposits will now avoid generating on steep locations, which is cool. I actually never saw that in my playthroughs. And then they've also added a bit of a modded UI if you've been using mods in your gameplay playthroughs as well. And finally, guys, we have bug fixes. So we've got some really nice bug fixes here as well. From the top, fix the farm workers moving to transport tasks early, even though there's still plenty of crops to harvest. Big one to farming right there, just in that single line. Fixed predicted yield not showing correctly in the field building panel. Another good one. Fixed people not resetting rotation after dismounting, kind of a minor one, but fixed farming oxen not respecting work area limits. Lots of really good bug fixes on farming, especially here. All of this is quality of life, obviously, but there are bugs here that I had no idea about. Lots of issues that were underneath the foundation, so to speak. So a lot of really good fixes that should hopefully make all of it feel more natural and efficient, optimized as well. Really nice stuff here. Kind of minor. Again, another minor one. Fix villagers not setting up market stalls to sell their home produce like vegetables if they are unassigned. Massive change. Marketplace is the core of a town, right? If it's not functioning properly, if products are not being distributed to your houses properly, how are you going to upgrade your houses? It's impossible. Lots of people complaining about, this house has everything. Why is it not getting this good? I've got loads of it. All these issues popping up. This should be a huge fix for marketplaces. And then this is a minor one. Fixed wealth getting transferred when doing barter. Another really good change there. We're getting into some trading and bartering changes here. So fixed bartering traders always returning one item regardless of the barter value, which and carrying capacity. Huge change here for barter traders. Barter traders packing too much stuff in their origin region when barter value is more than 1x, which is another nice change there, making it more efficient. Fixed trading post exports not proceeding with transactions once the trader reaches the destination. That is a huge bug. I cannot believe that was present in the game so far. This is a really big fix right here for trading posts. Fixed multiple markets, sometimes distributing multiple instances of the same good type to a plot. So again, that huge issue about having multiple stalls producing, distributing that single product to the same home at the same time, making it super inefficient, undersupplying lots of areas of your towns. This is a huge quality of life fix right here. Very nice to see that happen. Fixed crop rotation to follow, causing farmers to harvest invisible items. That's a nice fix. Fixed villagers getting stuck at homes when there's a bandit camp present in a region. That's nice too. Didn't actually experience that myself, but that's a funny one right there. And then the rest of these are quite funny and minor as well. This one's quite good. Fixed granary workers stealing ale from the tavern, which is hilarious. How were they stealing the ale from the tavern? That's just mind-boggling. Livestock exports getting interrupted by sheep herd behavior. Yeah, lots of the rest of this is pretty minor, really, but that's essentially it. Lots of really great bug fixes, huge gameplay changes, balance changes to farming, to trading. Gonna make it sounds to me like gonna make farming much more complex to deal with, much more difficult, really challenging to get the seasons right. So that's a really nice, I think, change there. Farming was quite easy in terms of getting the products really ramped up, exponential growth there in terms terms of bread production, all of that being kind of nerfed, I think is going to be a good thing in the long term. And then trading, especially getting a bit of a bump, having the trade route costs reduced, and royal tax is now calculated a bit more efficiently, king's tax reduced as well. Some really nice just stuff there in terms of making an income properly, naturally, more optimized, and then actually using that income not just for paying the royal tax, but other bits, trading, farming, marketplace efficiencies. Really good stuff here. So yeah, really good patch. I'm really hoping that a lot of you guys get in here and enjoy it quickly. It's here, you should. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below about all of these changes. What do you think? How is the impact on your gameplay so far as well? And that's it for today, guys. Just wanted to go through the patch notes today, go through what I think are going to be the most important elements of these, all of these changes to the gameplay in Manor Lords right now. There's some really great changes. I think you'll agree as well. And that's it. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and drop any thoughts or questions in the comment section below. I'll answer all of them as much as I can. And subscribe to the channel for more Manor Lords content just like this. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.